Butler, Wealth Management Advisor. Hey, Lamar.
How's it going? How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. So I wore my green today because it's Money Matters Day. So I'm representing with the green in here today, and I'm looking a little tall compared to him, but that's okay. Yeah, no, don't raise your seat. Don't raise your seat. So you can't see that unless you are watching us live on Facebook, which is Empower Hour, Bertina Power, or UBM, as well as UBM on our YouTube video. Okay. So we're gonna start. Oh, I said I was wearing green, but I have to let everybody know that the fabulous green suede and necklace that I'm wearing is from Miss Catwalk. Miss Catwalk, which is the owner's name is Michonne Sutterly. She has two locations at 2311 South Michigan, and she's also on the 4th floor in the Water Tower building. She is offering, I'll be wearing her clothes all week, and she is offering all of my listeners, if you go into the stores and say Empower Hour, you will get 10% off your purchases. And she's gonna be doing that until Thanksgiving Eve, November 22nd, okay? So don't forget to do that. If you see anything you like, just let her know. Empower Hour, same thing in both locations, Water Tower and 23rd and Michigan, 2311 South Michigan. So Lamar, you know that October has a lot of awareness. Breast Cancer Month is one of them.
Correct.
Yes, and so Akurama Foundation and Urban Broadcast Media has partnered with, I know you don't have any bras in your home, but we are collecting bras, or maybe your significant other can turn in some bras or send them or mail them here to 4108 South King Drive in Chicago, 60653, where we are collecting them and taking them and turning them to this bra recycling agency, and then they are turning them into red carpet pillows, and then taking the proceeds for breast cancer research. Yeah, so you know, if you had that, we're doing that all the way through the month of October, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, and now you know pink is breast cancer, the pins that we wear.
Right.
Well, did you realize there were this many other colors in pins? Yeah, I know, right?
No clue.
Yeah, so there are tons of other ones, and I have been trying to just educate myself as well as our listeners on the different types. So periwinkle blue is for stomach cancer and esophageal cancer. So that's right. And so I'm wearing these bracelets from a good friend of mine. They're chakra bracelets from a good friend of mine, Tawanda, and they have all these varying colors in them. So I'm actually now representing so many more cancers by just wearing her chakra bracelet.
My assumption was all AKA.
Oh, no, that was not 100% AKA. It was and it is, but now it is both. That's what I'm doing with this one. That's what I'm doing with that one there. So in the news, we had some news that is going on now. Nearly 20% of the tenants couldn't pay their full rent in the last 3 months. And I know you're going to be on here talking about money and how best to plan accordingly, right? But they are saying that they surveyed 40,000 renters, and that for whatever reason or another, in the last 3 months, 20% has gone up. You know, more could not pay the full rent. They've only could pay portions of it. And they were saying that this is even amongst householders who have $60,000 a year. So that's not like it's just because they don't have enough income.
Right.
You know, but we'll talk about that, I'm sure, about people staying within certain means and living within those and saving money. You know, it's a part of that, right?
Allocation, absolutely.
Allocation of the funds,
Yeah.
proper allocation. Proper allocation of the funds. Okay, so Uber has also hired a new chief legal officer. His name is Tony West. He's the outgoing general counsel at PepsiCo and the former senior official at U.S. Justice Department. Now, he joins this ride-sharing company with a full plate because Uber has not one, not two, but 5 already federal criminal probes on top numerous lawsuits brought by all kinds of people.
What's going on with Uber right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but they're saying that, you know, hopefully, well, they're saying that Uber might wind up being on those world's most ethical companies. So Pepsi has been named as one of the world's most ethical companies 10 years in a row, and they're hoping that bringing him on will make Uber fall off of this list of having so many lawsuits and become a little bit more ethical.
I mean, when you service that many people, there's going to be one of those in there anyway, isn't there?
Well, it's that, and it's also internal leadership, though, would you say, right? Because most of the times you have claims against the company, and that's for customer service more say. But then when you talk about lawsuits associated with sexual harassment or anything like that, that's usually internal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the internal attorney will probably bring forth a better result, right? From the leadership down. They said under that they're confident that when he joins, they will join the list of ethical companies. So that's a good thing. Now, have you heard of Stranger Things? This is a TV show or movie you have? Have you been watching it?
I haven't seen the second season. I've seen the first one.
Uh-huh.
I usually wait to get a kind of a
lead hit, right? So you can binge watch. Yes. You don't want to wait.
One time hit. I want to see a couple of them if it's good.
That is so what I do, right? I was like, I'm waiting for the whole season to be over, and then I can watch them all, and then be left with a real cliffhanger, right? Okay. So Netflix is starting a Stranger Things empire, it says. They're going to be having coffee mugs and sweaters and talk show fan hosts and everything for the show. Now, I haven't seen one, so I'm relying on you to say this is a good show.
I can pretty much guarantee you that I won't have any of the paraphernalia.
You won't, right?
I will watch the show.
Okay.
But it is an actually interesting show. It caught me off guard at the beginning, but
it did. Okay. Well, it points to the company becoming a multifaceted media empire, says Bloomberg. So they're going all in with this merchandise and giving it, a new multi-billion revenue source. Multi-billion. Now you talk dollars and cents all day, right? So that's a lot of money, right?
It's not gonna be a bad afternoon for them at all.
Yeah, okay.
At all.
They said, easing investor concerns, the company continues to boost its content budget, right? So that's what most of these companies are really driving after, right? Is their investors and fulfilling those goals.
Well, I think the other part of it is too is that you're trying to have a better connection to your end user.
Right.
We're in an environment now that we spend much more time streaming, downloading, posting, things of that nature, instant gratification.
Right.
So I think corporations are doing a job of trying to listen to that a little bit better and try to tend to
give us what we want, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then that's good. Go Netflix and Stranger Things and all your media, your merchandising that you're planning to do. Now, you know what has happened in Puerto Rico? Somebody got the heat on in here. Y'all can turn that off. You can turn that off. You can turn that off. Thank you.
I'll let this wet.
Yeah, I was like, you can turn it off because I don't need any more heat. I'm already burning up with such a sensation sitting next to me. I know, ladies, right? Anyway, moving on to the news at hand. So Puerto Rico, which I said, we're still praying for all of those families and individuals that are over there for that devastation. But Puerto Rico had to cancel a $300 million contract to rebuild its power grid because it's saying that, all the damage that Hurricane Maria did, almost 6 weeks ago, that this deal that they made with the Montana-based energy firm, Whitefish, has faced criticism for Congress as well as the Federal Emergency Management Agency for the company's small size and limited record. And apparently they're not doing what they promised, right? You go in and you overpromise, you underbid.
But what's important is it's a company of two.
Is that all it is?
It was originally started as a company of two.
Wow.
It turns out that one of the close relationships of the company is closely related to our current administration. So
then they got some favoritism and wanting to be it or something.
It's not even a hard line to follow to see how the connection was done. So you go from a company that maybe done a couple $100,000 to $300 million contract. It's not going to go smoothly.
Okay, well then Puerto Rico has canceled it according to the governor, Ricardo Rossello. He called the deal scrutiny a distraction from actually restoring the power back to the island, and less than 1/3 of Puerto Rico's 3.4 million people have had their power restored since Maria hit. That's not a lot. If this is what you were sent there to do.
You're looking at 6 to 8 months before people can actually have access again, if we're lucky.
If we're lucky? Wow. Okay. Well, I want to bring this up now, too, because there's a special event that's going on, and since this is Money Matters Mondays, I don't want to let this get away from us, but there's a Small Business Center on the Road Expo happening on Saturday, November the 4th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Malcolm X College. Right? I know you're not a native of Chicago, but but you know where Malcolm X College is,
right?
Right?
I work with a number of people over a lot of professors out there.
Okay. All right, so this is a free event and it's open to the public. So the keynote speaker is actually one of our past guests, which is Miss Stephanie Hart, and she is the founder of Brown Sugar Bakery. Have you had Brown Sugar Bakery?
You know I like sweets.
You're an athlete, so there might be a thing where you don't eat them. But let me tell you, if you ever want to crash diet, like you crash watching all of this thing, then you're gonna want to go get one of her legendary caramel cakes.
It'll go well with my Stranger Things afternoons.
Okay, yes, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Just like sit down, binge, and eat and do all of that. But she went from 75th Street to Navy Pier. She's going both locations now, and she plans in another year or so to open one on the west side. So she is growing by leaps and bounds. But she said, you know, obviously 15 years on one location, this is a big leap to make that decision to now go on Navy Pier, right? Like Navy Pier.
That's a huge benefit because that is a consistent group of people. There's always fresh
and
faces.
international.
Exactly.
And, you know, the people come here. It is a destination to go to Navy Pier to visit when you come into Chicago.
And she can accidentally sell a cake to every person that comes through there.
And or ship them. She'll ship them out. You know, so she had people that shipped them. I had people that were logging in and saying that they were that she did a wedding cake. I mean, you know, all kinds of stuff. So she is the keynote speaker. So anybody that is out there, I call them my entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that are still looking to, you know, just what are some of the things that help keep me going and make me motivated to do so many things and get rid of that 4-letter word. You know what the 4-letter word is?
There's a few of them. I'll let you finish.
Fear, Lamar. Fear, Lamar is the 4-letter word that keeps people from moving forward in some of the things that they might consider doing. So they have different workshops. They're going to have help your business grow. Okay. So that'll be doing that. And I think the presenter is going to be Fifth Third Bank in ACR Chicago. 10 steps to a successful webcast on a lean budget, right? Because we were just talking about how everything is going social media now.
Correct.
And so with that, you got a need to know what's the best way to be good, clean, effective, efficient, you know, in doing that.
I mean, the best way is to be educated, organized, and prepared.
Educated, organized, and prepared.
Right.
All right.
We all generally will face very similar financial considerations at some point. Whether it's thinking about buying a house, whether it's thinking about sending kids to school, things of that nature. So we have a very consistent template when it comes down to what will we be prepared for.
Right.
And the better we can be educated on what those needs may be, the more organized we can be, the execution piece will just be a little bit more seamless.
Well, that's great because you are saying one of my major words in what it is that I like to do on Empower Hour, which is educate, enrich, and empower our listeners. And they will also have a write a business plan and what you need to know. And you know those are very important to be a part of that event. So again, it's Saturday, November the 4th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Malcolm X College, which is 1900 West Jackson Boulevard. For those who don't know, free of charge, open to the public. We're going to take a station break and listen to some music right now. We'll be right back with Mr. Lamar Butler. I am Bertina Power, and this is Empower Hour. All right, so I'm going to need you to talk a little bit louder into that microphone so that they can hear you.
Oh my God.
Huh? Yeah, but you have to because it's radio. You know what I'm saying? Hey, everybody, what's going on? Stranger Things, I watched this show since somebody, they're watching it, yes. I don't know what Rachel talking about, yes. And hey, Sora, and all these people that are on, hi. Tamiko, good afternoon, hey everybody. Somehow, you turn that heat on?
We have to open the door. We just got the furnace fixed, and you know you have to run new stuff for a while, and then you can adjust it. So I'm sorry for the heat.
That vent over there?
It's the lights that are doing it too. So
no, but I've been in here with the light. That is some new heat.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's
yes, ma'am. It's the heat and the lights,
and
so you know it's just hot. I'm really sorry.
Okay, all right. So when we come back, say hi to the people. I know, right? Like fix the headphones and look out here. So this is hi, and then hi over here to everybody over
space
there.
bug.
All right, and so we are going to go into a little bit of your background, the initial part, schooling and all of that, and how you came to be from athlete to financial. That's a pretty big jump. Now, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, athlete to clothing, sure. Athlete to music, sure. Athlete to, you know, TV, great. But athlete to wealth management, they're the ones that usually spend all the money and lose it, and you know what I mean, and have a problem. Now you are out here helping not only your buddies but the new athletes to stay on track with that, right?
I think the important piece of that too is just kind of like everybody is so concerned with
what?
social norms and keeping up with those social norms, spending habits, entourages, things of that nature.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For other people.
For other people,
right?
And realistically, the guys that usually do the best job are the ones with the smallest of circles, maintaining a budget that they set and not deviating, because we are worried about not just now, we're talking about you're 67 years old.
Right.
We went through a couple $1 million contract and things like that. There's no reason that we should be going back to finding employment later in life when we just could have
done right on the first. Right. Yeah. I mean, but I'm sure you educate your even any non-athletes, but anybody who might have a surplus of funds, to give yourself a kitty, a fun thing, right? Like this is my budget to spend on fun stuff.
We have cash on hand, and we have a cash separation. Okay. So cash on hand is your in and out money. Right. So we'll keep that number, whatever kind of like baseline budget is needs, rent, expenses, Then we put a little bit of surplus of fun, whether if you like to go out to dinner and do those types of things, travel, we keep a little bit of money for that. But we don't need to we don't need to look at $100,000 in cash. Because it's not working for us. Right.
Because it's not making us any money. Right. As they say, that money in the coffee can is not doing anything.
Lazy money is sad money that we can't do anything.
We can't do anything with. Right. And the real key that some of the other communities know is that it takes money to grow money, right? In some way. So but it doesn't take a lot of money. All I need to do is take my money and invest it wisely, or manage it wisely, and then I can.
Sometimes it's also a matter of just parking it effectively, because the natural life cycle of money, the growth is on the back end anyway. The longer it sits, the better it work for you. Usually the front end, we want to make sure that we have enough that we can stockpile away, but at the same time, we still want to have liquidity needs for the day-to-day expenses and kind of the business. Okay.
All right. We're going to come back on. But now that wasn't even on, but it was on for the everybody else here. Yes, everybody's still listening. Yeah, we'll be talking about a lot on the breaks. You're gonna give me a little lead in at some point. Hey, Mr. Butler. Oh, let me just show you guys real quick. So this is the jacket from Miss Catwalk. You see, it's the little bolero with the sleeves. And this necklace came from her as well. So thank you, Miss Catwalk.
For all you male listeners, she's winning today. Huh? That was for the male viewers.
Hey, look, I got all the ladies listening in now today. All right. Welcome back to Empower Hour, and I am your host, Bertina Power, and I'm sitting here and we're chatting up on the commercial break with Mr. Lamar Butler, wealth advisor, lots to some athletes and some regular people, right? Like just the regular people that want to do some things properly. So let's get into who Mr. Butler is and how you came to be, because you're DePaul graduate, right? Right here in Chicago.
That is correct.
And you're not from Chicago though, right?
I'm not. I'm an East Coast native.
Boston, Mass. Oh, Boston, Mass. Where's the Boston accent? Where's the Makai and Javier?
Oddly enough, through some of my linguistical courses in college, I was able to
lost it?
I forcibly curbed because there was a thought that I might have been you in broadcast and media. And they told me if I could tone down the regional content, I might have a shot. So
right, but you know what Steve Harvey told me? He said, I'm not finna change nothing. But I said, hey, go ahead, Steve. Then I'm gonna keep on with my crazy accents and talking. But needless to say, so you're a triple demon, and that means
a graduate 3 times from the university.
3 times. Not that I couldn't and tried 3 times, but I tried the first time, graduated with.
Did it.
Tried the second time.
Did it.
Tried the third time.
Did it.
Wow, congratulations on that. That is awesome. And so you were still an athlete though at the same time.
True.
You can't see this, everybody, but it might look like it's bulky, but it's not. Your profession, was what?
Basketball.
Yeah, it was basketball. He's 6 feet 11 inches, FYI. So so that's why I said you're making me feel awfully tall because your chair is lower, but people who know me, I have to look up to him, and I have on my 4 or 5 inch heels, and I still have to break my neck to look up. So very tall guy. So you walk in, you look like an athlete, but you're in there, and it's about brain. So this is good too, because some people, have these children that are built like athletes, but then how do you go from playing ball? You played here and overseas.
Correct. I think the thing for me, I was introduced to injuries fairly early in my career, and with that being done, it made me start to think about when will I prefer to step away from the game versus have the game taken from me.
Gotcha.
So I did a lot of preparation, and I actually, here's a funny part of the story, is I registered for my first graduate school class when I got out. My walk from registering for that class back to my dorm room, I got my first first professional call from that walk after signing my first class in grad school. And then I called back and said, I'm going to have to postpone that class because it looks like I'm going to leave the country.
Right.
So I was prepared to step away from basketball at that time. Should have been in space, but I just tried to make sure I had the most options to do what it was that I wanted. And I didn't even know what I wanted to do.
But options, but you just said a key word, Mr. Butler, is options. And that's one of the things that I think I and parents and grandparents are out here always trying to tell the youth is that, you know, it's fine if that is the dream of yours and a goal, but like you said, your knees, I'm assuming, or elbows, back, whatever, something was started, all of it started to take you out. Yeah. But then what we always tell children and instill in them is that the brain won't go away, right? Like you can still have that to work for you and work with you, and even in the next step that you're getting ready to go to, right?
Correct. You know, I knew that there was going to be a much bigger opportunity to earn with my brain than I would ever be able to do with my body.
Right.
I took that. My goal was to be able to play until I was close to 30, somewhere around there, and that's when I'll be comfortable with my transition away from the game.
Right, and so then we're going to talk about this too, and that is that if you were making this amount of money, you were probably already at that time planning for, you know, having that money work for you later, or
one of my close school friends he transitioned because he was a former soccer player, so I knew him really well.
Mm-hmm.
So he was my actual first financial advisor when I started playing. But he's also the person that introduced me to the financial industry.
Okay.
He told me, you know, he said, while I'm doing this management for you, he's like, I don't know why you just don't do it for yourself.
Ah.
So he opened the door for me to start to think of that. And then through some other opportunities to follow, it started to open my eyes to an opportunity that makes sense.
To the whole piece of wealth management and managing the money and large sums of money, right? That are coming in, and how do you not end up on that list that they say what happened to them now, right? And they're broke and living on the streets and things like that.
Yeah,
you know,
I was always very, very cautious
of that.
Everything going, you know, heading into the career, how my behavior, my habits, my circles.
Right.
And those things were consistent when I did play, and then consistent post play.
Post play. Okay. So let's go from post play to the point where I think you said you had a close friend introduce you to somebody. Because how do you go from, so you're in school, couple of classes, couple of you know, things like that, and then you meet somebody along the lines of introducing you to a financial advisor, right?
No, it's a little bit different. So what happened, I initially I knew I wanted to go to grad school.
Okay.
The what, I wasn't clear of. I actually wanted to be a computer hacker. So I
got
into computer science.
So basketball and computer hacking, okay.
Two things that didn't match.
No.
So that was kind of the open door, because that's what I got my first degree in, and was IT.
Okay.
With a minor in Japanese. But in the process,
wait, Japanese, not Spanish, not French, Japanese?
It was too ordinary.
I can't even, normally I can say hello in one language, I can't even say Japanese hello, but so you speak and write?
I can read, write, and speak Japanese, yes.
Okay, can you say something? Oh my, I'm not gonna even ask if that was. Okay, all right, you know what? Before we get into who you met and how that happened, we're gonna take a station break. You are listening to Urban Broadcast Media and the Empower Hour Show. Don't forget to follow and like me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and LinkedIn. It's at Bertina Empower Hour on Urban Broadcast Media. Yes. Good segue. I was going to mention that Japanese and then you threw it right in there.
We work together.
Hey, everybody. Pablo says, hey, Lamar. Hey, Pablo. What's happening? Hey, Brian. Hey, Mark. Hey, Cheryl. Just say hi to the people. Tamiko. Hey, Elle. Elle is out of Atlanta. So if you are watching me from some other state, will you please just say where you're watching from so we can know if you're not out of Chicago?
I saw somebody said they were from Boston up there.
Oh, somebody's from Boston?
McPherson, I believe it was. A little bit further up.
Hey, oh, thank you, Pablo, for saying hi to me. You know, he on my show. You know, thank you. Oh, yeah, I am from Boston. Cheryl, you from? Oh, yeah, Cheryl's from Boston. Hey,
I'm from Jamaica Plain. Where you from, Cheryl?
Yeah, Cheryl, where?
My mom's name is Cheryl.
Cheryl, he said, from where? He said, Jamaica, what? Jamaica Plain?
Jamaica Plain.
Okay. Hey, Boston in the house. East Coast, well, you know, I went to Hampton and Virginia, so I feel like I'm I feel like I'm so did you hear that? That's when he's coming back. I need you to really talk into the microphone. Do we need to readjust this a little bit?
That's cool. I just put my lips to it like a rap concert.
Yeah, that's what you do. You see how I get close to it. You know, you be like, all right. I'm talking about money, honey. Okay. Besides this heat, they killing me up in here today. All right, so now we'll get into who you were with there, and then we'll go into that.
I should be doing mine like this, like yours is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's easy. All right. We are back. This is Urban Broadcast Media Empower Hour. This is your lunchtime hour, and we try to educate, enrich, and empower you during this lunchtime hour. I have in the studio Mr. Lamar Butler, who I just found out speaks Japanese and read it and write it, has 3 degrees from DePaul, and then, was a professional basketball player. So you met somebody and changed your direction altogether.
Yeah, it was an opportunity.
After all of the injuries, too.
So a friend of mine, a classmate of mine's dad was a full seat member at the Board of Trade in Merck, 50-year seat member. And what was going on at that time was the transition from pit trading to computer trading.
See, you just said something. That's a transition. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of people that are watching, or a lot of the seniors, there's a change, right, that's happening. So that was a change right at that moment. And
that was when the introduction came, because most guys that were at his space were phasing out. Most of those guys were just getting retired. They had already made, their wealth prior to that. Most guys, started off as clerks and runners and things like that, then turned into an opportunity where they were, traders and pitch and things like that. So he wanted to stay as relevant as possible. So we had an initiative where we were going to actually get a lot of the knowledge transfer and move into hedge funds management in London. So we ended up actually stepping away from that piece because his direction and my direction just weren't the same anymore.
But you had bitten the bug at this point.
I'd been in.
You had got
I was trading during my years of playing. So I would trade when I came back.
In the summers.
I would even trade when I was gone. And I just really started to enjoy it. I would trade on simulations. I would trade live money. I just kept doing it.
Okay.
And the more I did that, the more engaged it was.
Okay. So here you were coming in mostly though as an IT individual to try to assist a senior guy at the Board of Trade with transitioning on how to work this system you're already doing off the floor, now on the computers, because that's the new world. That was what was coming. So the people that were there, they are now being phased out if you couldn't catch on to this whole thing.
Primarily because the thing was that the format was so much faster on the computer screens.
Obviously.
So I was an arbitrage trader. I traded.
Okay, hold on. Talking big words. Arbitrage. What is that?
So basically, what we do is we look for discrepancies in costs.
Okay.
It could be a point, a tenth of a cent, things of that nature. But before it corrects itself, which it will naturally do, we would get in between that, make the trade, and we would take the cent. So we would do that. I was a high frequency trader, so we would be looking at that.
You gotta be like super quick for that. Okay.
But then when you started to interface the computer screens, it closed that margin so much faster, so that window wasn't there anymore. So essentially, the arbitrage trade died. Through the implementation of technology. But you stayed on top of it. You still kept in the trading world, or did you leave at this point? That's when I started to look at. Now that I have all this knowledge base and this content and this experience, I wanted to transition it to work with the public, and instead of going and staying private and working in hedge funds anymore.
Okay. But London, so did you learn French to go to London too? Did you learn another language?
I got a few languages.
Okay. More than Japanese?
Couple.
Okay. All right. Well, you see that? You get several degrees, black men, and you can have several languages that you learn. You can do athletes and educational things, right? So you can do it all. And then I know we have a family, and we can talk about that too. You can still be the family man, right? And so, all right. So now we are coming out of that, and you're going into the private world, right? And so you've been doing that for how long?
I've been in wealth management for the last 13 years now.
13 years. Okay, so we were talking about this earlier on break. Wealth management. Most people would say wealth management means I got to have a whole lot of money for you to be wealth management. Is that a myth? Is that correct?
No, you got to have some discretionary dollars available, because now we're starting to figure out how we need to place dollars for later use, how we start to hedge against inflation and purchasing power costs down the road. So it's a matter of just managing what you have coming in. especially in a joint household. There's a lot of decisions and considerations that will be needed down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really kind of a floor plan of what to come.
Right, but is it also tied into my job, maybe my 401ks or my pension plans or things like that? Are there other options that, as the wealth management, we can sit down and determine if what is working for me and not? Because they take a lot of money to put into those.
I think most people are aware that the pension environment is not really in existence.
Yeah, but you know, the city of Chicago still, the employees, some of those still have pension.
But yeah, when you look at the 401ks and things of that nature, you gotta look at, most people register, sign up for it, have no idea what they did with it.
The money's just going over here somewhere.
You go through your benefits and all that, when you sign on, you never look at it again. So I end up really working with a lot of people to understand what that means to them and how that investment will affect them, but more importantly, how taxation will work on those types of accounts down the road and what purchasing power they really have, because realistically, those are designed for low distribution. And when I mean that, we're talking about 3 to 4% distribution on average per $1 million. So what does that turn into? We're talking about a baseline of $30,000 to $40,000 to drive off of a 401k.
And then that spread amongst all the people involved in the plan. Right,
for that particular individual.
Right. So you will help evaluate then, right, with my current status.
Yeah, and I think everybody needs to do a good job of taking a look at what their personal plan and strategy may be at this time. And more importantly, share it with other members of the family.
Right. So good thing you mentioned that too, because that is what I've come to learn with having various people in this seat, from health to money to passing away and things like that. We don't share. We don't sit down at the table and talk about these things. There was this big sense in our past, historically, that it is taboo to be talking about these things, and money is the #1 taboo thing to not talk about. Forget not talking about health. We surely not going to talk about money.
I think there's twofold. Originally, the conversation was about getting educated, right? It was the conversation of how are we going to educate our families? The opportunity for education is paramount at this point. There's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of available dollars for people to be able to get the education that they sought. Now that you have the education, now you're getting the careers.
Right.
Now with the career, it's the ... part of the original conversation. Is now that I have the career and the income, now what do I do?
Now what do I do?
And that education has been lacking for our community, so it's been something that's
really important
to be able to make sure that we're sharing those discussions and bringing that resource to the community of people that are asking for it.
Well, and I also, now that you say that, I find that having someone who looks like you, and meaning that you look like me, who I'm sitting in the audience, coming and talking to me about it, that there's two sides to that conversation. I might look at you and think that you're scamming me, right, to take my money because you look like me, and that the other ones know more and you don't, right? Or for the other people who believe, I'd rather deal with you because you do look like me and you are part of my community and you can understand me and some of my needs and the things that I like and I want because it's a part of my community.
And I think that was part of it too, is that I wanted to make sure that there was a credible approach to it as well. So I've worked for 2 leading mutual companies in the industry because I thought it was necessary.
Right, to have that
background to say, like, listen, the things that we are discussing are derived for the purpose of you, for the goal of you. But outside of that, sure, you should be able to kind of track me and know who I am and see where I come from.
Right.
Look into my past, my history, and
touch you, right? Like, know that you're gonna come out here and sit in my house if that's where we're going to meet, and you're not worried about me only coming downtown to your high rise, paying for parking and all of that, right?
Right.
So now you talked about evaluating is one of the things that pretty much everybody ought to be doing, right? Now, does that cost? Okay, annually. Does that cost me anything to do evaluating? To sit down with you and talk about this? Does it cost me anything?
No.
No. Did you hear that? It costs nothing. All right, so that's free. So I can sit down with you and find out for free where I am, what I have, what I think I have, what I don't have, you know what I mean, and what I should probably have, right? That's what's evaluating.
It's kind of like circling the wagon. Pull all your statements, get your investments in order. What have you been doing so far to save money?
And if I'm a couple, the 2 of us together.
Correct.
Right.
What do your taxes look like? Can we pull those up?
Right.
Do you even know where half of these documents are? That's another big problem.
Oh my goodness, I can only imagine, because I have a background in real estate, and when it's time for people to get ready to get a mortgage, those are the very documents they always have to get their hands on. And I told them to get a tub and just keep the things filed, right? Like, just month after month, put these things in the same label file. That's all you have to do. You open it up, drop it in there, and then you can get your hands on it.
I've even simplified it. Keep the most recent one. Get rid of the notes.
Right, but sometimes they ask for the last 3 months now. Okay, that's not real estate. Yeah, for you, right? We need the last 3 months. Okay, all right. So anyway, so we need to evaluate, right, at this point in time. What's the next step after that then, right? Like, what else would you say to educate my listeners and those that are watching about what it is that we need to know or do as it relates to wealth management of our own personal income?
I think the first thing is you have to identify what your vision is. What is the end goal for you? And that's where the personal conversation comes in and the open discussion comes in, is because I don't have a template to create stuff yet. What we try to do is we try to design around the needs of that individual.
So it's custom.
It's always custom.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So it's the why. So why am I doing this? Maybe I have children or grandchildren, right?
Exactly.
Maybe I want to travel the world and I have nobody, right? And this is how I want to live out my last days,
Yep.
just getting on a boat and sailing the seas for 364 days. Whatever it is that is my why, how am I going to get from today to that point?
Well, it's going to go to one of three places. It's going to go to the government, it's going to go to your family, or to a charity of your choice. Okay. And while you're in a position to make those decisions, while you have the cognitive ability, it's probably easier to just start to decide on those things now, instead of at the end when now it's, there's a scramble.
Or fight between family members. Yes.
It dissolves families so fast.
Yes, yes.
Things that we can avoid, but we're in a preventative space. We want to be in a position where we're organized ahead of time, prepared for what's to come, and then we have an execution plan on how we're going to affect that.
You know, and I had an attorney on a couple of weeks ago, and this is the same kind of conversation we were having because, you know, you don't plan. This is so preventable. You can stop all of the agony between loved ones afterwards. You can have everything in place as it relates to how my funeral. You don't need a GoFundMe. Right. For a funeral, right? Like, you know, and then you can have all these things in place. But I find that when I studied insurance just a little bit and took the state board, that there was a question of, am I selfish or selfless, right? Because a lot of this, like you said, I'm for charity, for my family, you know what I'm saying, or help, it's for somebody else. Right. You know what I mean? Some part of it is for me for as long as I live, but then the rest is for somebody else. And so the question is whether or not it is.
The accumulation of wealth leads to the transition fund.
Okay,
and
right.
What is the process that needs to be? And a lot of people get kind of shocked by planning for an estate. The estate doesn't have to start when you have your $13, $14 million home.
Right.
And your estate is a collection of your assets that you've acquired over a lifetime.
And that could be anything. That could be just a house or a 2-flat building that you own or a business. A lot of business owners don't realize that they are very, important. This is very important for them, right? Okay. All right, well, we're going to take a station break. You're listening to Urban Broadcast Media, and this is Bertina Power. We'll be right back with Mr. Lamar Butler, our wealth advisor that is telling everybody the things that you need to be doing and starting today. Right, Lamar?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
Look at you, don't be trying to be on here like you gonna be my co-host. I don't want no co-host. I don't want no co-host. I'll let him just flowing with me like this. This is fun. Thank you. I was like, you and him just flowing like, yeah, this is what you need to do and all of that. So after this one, we don't have any more breaks. We're gonna go all the way to the end, which is 55. And so, but then I have right at about 50.
I'm starting here right now.
I know, right? He's like, give us free. I know, right? I was like, I'm gonna need y'all to not turn on the heat.
Listen, tripping.
I know, and the lights be high, but this is not high. The lights are not this. Yeah, this is not this high. So right, so I'm sorry. Hey everybody. Hey Pablo. He's smiling and laughing. He's like, I said if you from any place but Chicago, Pablo. I swear. Don't listen. Hey Miss Hope. Hey Deborah. Hey everybody.
Let your voice be heard.
Yes, and I didn't bring my makeup in here, which is normally what I need to help with the powder. All right. We are back on Urban Broadcast Media Empower Hour, and I have been hanging out in here acting like he's my co-host, Mr. Lamar Butler, but he's doing a great job. Thanks for coming on, Lamar.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. So, just as a recap to lead you up, if you're just now joining us, is that he is a 3-time graduate from 3 masters and 2 masters in a BS from DePaul, where you were also a professional basketball athlete, got into by accident and conversation the Chicago Board of Trade, coming in through the IT part, learning some stuff, and then really finding, you know, a love for it and an understanding, but wanting to get out of the trade and move into the private wealth part where you can help your people and other people directly.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so now you also do this, Lamar, and you also have a specialty. You're an advocate for, and this is, as everybody who knows me, near and dear to my heart, for the special needs community. Tell me a little bit about that.
You know, working with the special needs family is a privilege. There's an opportunity to really bring some value to just great groups of people that are looking for opportunities, but beyond, you know, just awareness, we're trying to create some solutions within that. And how I got towards that was I was a temporary guest of a disability. You know, I had, as you know, I had a little, you know, blood clot issue.
Right.
Kind of had me out of the grid. So I understood the mentality of depression, anxiety, unknowing, you know, how does this all work out? So it just
and knowing that there's other people that you'll be leaving behind if something happens. Yeah.
Right. So it just opened the door to be able to expand within that space of giving back and thinking about other people and thinking about the greater good. And that doesn't always necessarily align with the corporate business model, right?
Right.
But being a lot more connected to the community is something that's always important to me. My dad was a community member, had a community-based business, and I saw what that value brought to the community.
Right. Very connected.
Right.
Yes.
So I learned quite a bit from that experience of watching, and now I'm in an opportunity space where I can do it.
Okay. And so then that has become, so you're very involved in the community. I see you deal with the Special Olympics, obviously. You, the Lurie's Children's Hospital with the kids over there, Adult Down Syndrome Clinic. You know, and what do you just volunteering time, or you are helping orchestrate programs and events?
So what we've done is just this summer we actually brought several of my NFL athletes out to Gearin Prep, in which we held a combine style camp for inclusion. So we wanted to let, and this is just listening to, you know, family members and friends and people that I've had opportunity to work with, what the need actually is as of right now. And health is a big piece of that.
Yes.
So being able to combine sports opportunities and bring fun initiatives, because it's a challenge sometimes. How difficult will it be for, you know, let's say you have a child in a wheelchair. It's not always convenient for you to be able to get down to the Soldier Field to watch a game, but these guys are people of the community.
Right.
Why don't we bring them to the community and let them engage the community, get that opportunity to be able to touch and affect and change, and bring something to a community that people may not have ever had an opportunity to experience.
And I think by doing this, obviously I can speak to this, that you not only open the eyes and enrich what one would consider normal children that are also a part of this event, and open their eyes to being warm and considerate and opening to those needs and reaching out and helping, right? Like, you know, and just teaching all of that at a very young age.
Yeah, my kids are involved, you know, and
because how old are your children?
My daughter's 16 and my son's 5.
Okay, so you have a boy and a girl, and so they were a part of this. And I think you went from what, ages 3 to 18?
3 to about 25.
To 25, okay. And so then that's great. So here you have these athletes, right, that are your clients, a part of the wealth management piece, that you are doing that for them in their personal life, and then they're coming and giving back with you to these organizations and helping the special needs community and other kids, right, that are there and having this event. So is that something you're going to do annually?
I do them almost every month, every other month at this point.
Okay.
There's something that I want to make sure that I'm constantly being able to bring value to. The idea that combining resources and bringing solutions is something that's paramount. I think that's really important to be able to affect change.
Right.
And by doing that, you know, we're looking to lock arms with a lot of people and essentially move the special needs community as one, because right now a lot of things are fragmented. Everybody focuses kind of on their particular area, whether that may be Down syndrome, autism, and so forth.
Cerebral palsy, ADHD, yeah, they all
these
broken
things.
up.
But in the congestion of it all, there's still a special needs community.
Right.
So what we're trying to do is wrap our arms around the special needs community as a whole and move it at once.
And move it at once.
Inclusion of inclusion. Inclusion
of inclusion. And you know, usually to do all these things, you got to make some laws and break in. Are you all working toward legislation?
Funny you say that.
Well, this is what I do.
I am.
Okay.
Right now, I'm working with Republican Senator Julie Morrison out of the North Shore area here. What we're trying to do now is we're trying to change some legislation in Springfield. As of right now, a tax credit is offered to corporations at the federal level of having at least 7% of your workforce, you know, identified as special needs.
As special needs.
At the state level, we don't really have those types of focal points, so what we're doing now is looking to create a platform to change this here and offer a similar type of tax credit with a threshold of a minimum. Usually in model law, it doesn't exceed the federal at the state level, so at this point, what we're looking to do is make it a consistent space for Illinois that at least 7% of the workforce is inclusive of special needs.
Right, so then these individuals, these young kids who are learning teamwork and working and can grow, could possibly have a place to work and a career and create jobs that they are not turned down from because of their disability, whatever that may be.
So I had the opportunity to hire a special needs staff member this year.
Okay.
I was able to work with a group, Teachability, who helps corporations start to transition the process to help bridge the gap of creating not awareness, but a solution.
Right, but a solution.
For a working opportunity in the corporate world, though.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of ancillary opportunities, grocery stores,
service, community, retail. Right.
But the spectrum of special needs is so vast that you are going to have highly functioning children with special needs, but you also have children that are so severe that they won't ever have an opportunity to do so. But there's a much bigger demographic of those who can do it.
Right.
So what we want to do is be able to offer them, and one of the biggest things is they want to function as peers. And if they don't have the opportunity to function as peers, then what do they have the opportunity to do for an older demographic? The 18 to 25, let's say,
that are out there to work.
Phasing out of the youth programs and phasing it. Now it's like, well, what do I do with my son who's capable, but I just can't get anybody to offer him an opportunity.
Anything more than some, like you said, the interaction on a retail level or something like that, because I am functioning, give or take some credits and some changes, just like anybody. Like if you've got a knee problem, and you're a highly functioning individual, but your company may have to give you a high chair or let you stand up and have a stand-up computer so that you can, facilitate what is necessary for injuries and things like that. They can make way for that, but then this requires maybe some manipulated screens or computer, or learning something at a different level.
And I think the other part too is that it's just the idea that we introduced this opportunity at the corporate level to realize we didn't really need to change a lot of what we did naturally. It was about making that new staff member welcomed, feel part of the team, help them understand what the work environment really looks like at that level, but be able to be comfortable in it and be received well.
Okay.
And that was a big part for me working with Teachability on that.
Well, that sounds great, and I understand you are now a partner at Midwest Legacy Group, which is going to be opening and launching the actual physical firm in the summer of next year, 2018?
Midwest Legacy is active now.
Okay.
In the process of that will spin off starting in 2018. Butler Legacy Group, which will be in the Fulton market area, but the focus will be on creating an opportunity to focus much more on the community side and kind of diminish the elite approach of
because see, once you hear wealth management, you think elite, you think, the Beyoncés of the world and Oprahs of the world. If I'm not at that level, then you're not talking about me. Or you can even just be thinking about CEOs and owners of, of corporations. You're not talking about me, the guy that's on the line working at the, manufacturing company. I can have an opportunity to sit down, and realize, because I might be bringing in $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 a year, but then if I'm spending it all on what we would say frivolous stuff, then I'm not preparing myself for the day that my back is no longer allowing me to work, right? Or that I'm getting older and the such. So you want to be able to evaluate, you want to determine the whys that we're doing this, and what other direction would we want to share with our listeners about what they need to be doing as a takeaway from today's conversation, so that, we're going to tell them how to reach you, but if they don't get to you, we want them to get to somebody, right? To find somebody educated.
Verify and validate.
Okay. And by that you mean?
Look at the why. Why am I doing it this way? Verify that through documentation, execution, the whys. All of those things will help you be able to be in a situation to where you can put together a roadmap, but also understand why you're following this particular roadmap.
You're following that roadmap.
Because when we're talking about a 20 to 30 year path, there's going to be a lot of obstacles, there's going to be a lot of deviations.
Things will come up.
So now we have to make sure that we are adjusting the path, but the end point will consistently be the same.
Would be the same, and with that, it's going to be sacrifices, and that when I know my why, then I'm still willing to make the sacrifices, right? I'm willing to not have this, not go on this trip, not buy this, not spend.
But I want you to do those things too.
Well, you're going to have a little fun for it, but I'm not going to take over all of my money that's in existence for it, because I asked you, do I get to have a slush fund, right? And you called it a what? Like I was like, well, what if you just want, just some money that you can have so that you see this pair of shoes or whatever, so that you don't lose this temptation of feeling like all my money is locked down.
So I do that with some of my athletes, where essentially we keep cash, but we move it out of their active bank account, so they're not staring.
So and it's not accessible by a swipe, right? Now they gotta call you.
You gotta call first. You usually want to check.
Yeah, you'll be like, oh, Lamar, can I have this? You're gonna be like, no. You're gonna be like, you know what? I don't like this guy, right, anymore, right? But then I've heard you do this, and you sort of leading in with so tell me why, right? Like now I'm gonna have to really have a story to get to why I need these, shoes or this handbag or what I'm saying, or whatever. I need to buy a new car, my 7th car that I have, because I have one for every day of the week. I'm gonna have to find that. But for the guys that don't, we're still trying to buy 7 cars a week. We're still trying to say that you might have a job and you've been on it for a while, and you got some retirement, and you got some money, and you don't know what is going on with it. Evaluate it, determine your whys, and try to stick to what that is that you're doing.
Have a direction. I will help you with the plan.
You'll have your direction, and you help you with the plan. And so everybody can reach you at lbutler@MidwestLegacyLLC.com. They can send a personal email, put Empower Hour in the subject line, so they'll know that this is where they heard you from. But it's lbutler@MidwestLegacyLLC.com. And since that initial evaluating and conversation is free, I can't give you anything. I can't ask Mr. Butler to give you anything, which I normally do, but you know what I'm saying?
You're welcome.
Right, well, thank you. So now, I usually end my show, as I say, with a quote. But when it comes to investing, nothing will pay off more than educating yourself, right? Isn't that what you said? I told you my quotes are going to line up with that, right? Do the necessary research, study before making any investment decisions. That's what you're saying, right? Get educated, come talk to somebody, and make it custom, right?
It's not suitable because it's your neighbor's plan. It has
right. They're doing what the Joneses says, right? So Benjamin Franklin said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So know more, right? And know a little bit more. That's all we're saying.
An example of knowing that quote right there.
Really? I told you that. Thank you for listening to Empower Hour. This is Bertina Power. We're here weekdays. Tomorrow we have Dr. Frank Vaught. We're going to be talking about health and wellness. He's actually a chiropractor, but he does a wellness. He has some wellness centers. So he's going to be on here for my Tuesday Rain and Men. And like I said, every day this week, I have an African-American male coming and educating us, enriching us, and empowering us to do more for ourselves. Thanks for listening, everybody. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye. Hour, yeah.
I like that song for that.